I don't know.
No, I think
it is freaky.
I think it's a lot. It's probably fear, and it's probably like preconceived religious aspects, probably, things like that too. Societal things, subconsciously, like,
Yeah.
and everybody goes to like aliens being the bad guys, like you said, Independence Day, like,
yeah,
all those other things that we, the popular culture, where popular culture is basically, except for Close Encounters of the Third Kind, E.T., there's a couple good, alien movies where, the aliens are good guys, but everything else is like, aliens are coming here, like War of the Worlds, are just going to destroy everything. And like, there's that whole Hollywood mentality of little green men or people trying to blow us up, and there's nobody's ever talking about the other stuff. And I think that's probably kind of a baked in societal thing where people are just conditioned to be afraid of it. I mean, there's probably some scary shit going on, and people, I mean, abductions like Travis Walton, but when I recently heard that whole, did you see the Rogan podcast with James Fox and Jacques Villette?
I actually only got halfway through it, but I still need to finish it.
Yeah, no, there was a good spot where he's talking about, Travis Walton, Fire in the Sky. Have you ever seen Fire in the Sky, that movie, the Hollywood version? Like basically Travis, oh man, that's good that you haven't, because I guess Travis Walton said that they Hollywood ended it on him, and they changed up a lot of stuff from his real story. And his real story was completely different, kind of when the Hollywood ended, made it more scary and, made it more, Hollywood-y, like, kind of scary and menacing and stuff. But the real story is not as evil, basically. Ship landed. He ran up to it. It tried to take off. It blew him back like forever and fried him. His friends freaked out and took off. They picked whoever was in the craft picked him up because he was basically toast, and they fixed him. Right. And then they dumped him back like outside of town, but like not close enough to town, but like where he got picked up was in the middle of nowhere. Like if they dumped him off right where they found him, he would have never made it. So they dumped him back off in like a valley real close to town so he could crawl back, and still be cool. But he was gone for 5 days. And like what his experience is that he woke up, he saw these grays, he freaked out, he grabbed something off the table and tried to go after the grays, like, try to attack them. Backed off. The grays were like, they couldn't control him with their thoughts or his mind. He's looking at him and he's like, he couldn't, he's so freaked out. It wasn't happening. The grays take off. He starts going, he runs out the room, and it's circular, and he's running around the room, and big, tall, blonde guy with like the He-Man haircut, like the straight bangs and like the thing in a bubble helmet grabs him, just like a giant dude, just scoops him up, drags him out, and he goes out of a disc, and he's in like either a hangar or another disc that's bigger than what he's in, with a bunch of other discs there, drags him out of that. And then a woman, a blonde chick with another bubble on her helmet, grabs him too. They throw him on a table and put something on his face. He passes out and he wakes up in the ditch back in Arizona.
Weird.
But the Hollywood movie was like they're anal probing him and like, putting shit in his eye, and like, the grays are like these evil things dragging him through all this stuff. And
that's like The Conjuring too. Did you hear about that?
No.
That's actually the last Grant Cameron video I had. So he interviewed the one of the daughters from like the real Conjuring story in real life, and she's making like a rebooted Conjuring movie right now. And she's like in the interview explaining how this is going to be the version that's realistic, because Hollywood totally twisted it into like this like demonic thing, but really it was all about UFOs, she's saying.
Wow.
Yeah. And she's like, and the only like bad thing she said happened was like the spirit or whatever that was like interacting with them, or presence. It was only hostile and like doing scary stuff to the mom, but like all the other experiences were really good, she said. So we'll see. I think that's what she said. I might be wrong, but
oh no,
I watched it like 2 years ago.
Oh yeah, man. No, and I've never seen The Conjuring, so that's something I have to check out. I don't know. I think like, so there's like this whole intersection. That's cool that you bring it up. There's a whole intersection of like ghosts or paranormal, like all of that shit kind of like collides at some point.
Same.
Yeah. I mean, it's so disparate. Like people are thinking like they're ghost hunters or somebody, you know what I mean? Or cryptozoologists, or, like, entities, or, doing seances and all that shit. And then, magic and alchemy and all that stuff. And then like, I feel like it's all kind of the same thing. And it's like,
it's Sorry.
No, go ahead, dude.
It's surprising to me. I've been noticing recently, like there is like a way larger number of like paranormal people than UFO people. Like look at all the different shows on ghost hunting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like I just feel like there's way more people into that. Like even on YouTube, like there's thousands of like ghost hunter channels and people like go into.
What's your theory about why that is?
I don't know.
So I hear the first thing that came to my mind was that we want to have a connection with this not being it. Like I think we want to have like some type of reassurance that when we die that it's not the end. And I think that for ghosts, for people, that's like a ticket for them, right? Like yeah. Like when we die, it's not the end. We can just show up and screw with our grandma, or you know what I mean? Or like just come, we can come back and it's not the end, right? So I think that's in my mind, I think that's everybody gets into it because, you know, maybe they want to be scared and whatever that, but maybe the underlying thing is that everybody wants to know that this is not the end of their existence when they die.
Yeah. It seems like there's a gap in between the two though. And like, it seems for the most part that the
cat knows.
Those people don't. My cat.
Yeah. The cats are half in and half out.
What was I saying?
Oh, that like most people, there's a gap between the ghost. I'm sorry. There's a gap between the ghost people and the UFO people.
But yeah, it seems that the UFO people try to merge the gap more so and consider possibilities than the ghost people do for the UFO side of things. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like a lot of those people, from what I've seen at least, they don't try to connect the two, you know?
Yeah.
They just think it's demons or spirits or the afterlife, but they don't think they could be UFOs or anything to do with UFOs. It seems like it's in two different areas for a lot of those people.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
That's weird, right? I mean, like, where do you draw the line? Like, UFOs are real, ghosts aren't. Ghosts are real, UFOs aren't. Like, but then I guess, I mean, you can't buy the I believe in every conspiracy there is either thing, right? Like a Loch Ness, like, you know, do you believe that Sasquatch is riding the Loch Ness monster and then unicorns are jumping over the fucking moon? You know, like, I mean, where do you draw the line? And I'm of a mind to believe that everything's real if you think it is.
I think I saw Santa once.
There you go.
No, seriously.
Shit.
I'm dead serious.
Yeah, I mean, that could be it.
It might have been my dad dressed up though. I don't know.
It could be it too. It could have been the guy. Santa could have been the guy that saw you in the park.
Maybe.
It could have old guy with a dog just showing up.
Dude, I don't even know what to think about that.
I don't know either, man. But you know, whatever it was, it had an effect on you. That's a lasting effect, right? And your buddy.
Yeah. It's not the reason why I moved, because I kind of just like put that away in my mind. I didn't really trip out about it at the time. I just naturally ended up moving away. And,
so how long after that happened did you move away?
Like 3 or 4 years.
Oh, okay. So it wasn't like you just jumped in the car and you're like, I'm out.
I wasn't like, oh my God, an earthquake. Like I got to get out of here.
Yeah.
But
you're just out.
Yeah, but I don't know, man. It always seems like something's like guiding me. Like I'm a lucky person. Like it's pretty weird.
No,
I always seem to be in like the right place at the right time. I don't know.
Well, as long as you recognize it and roll with it, man, I think that's good.
What if he's trying to help me? You never know.
Could be, man. Maybe that old guy's the Grand Master of Texas who wants you to join the lodge. What if it's the same guy? That would if you look at that dude's picture and it's the same guy, then
what's the craziest thing that's happened to you?
Oh man, today talking to you. No, I don't know, man. Like just crazy stuff. You know, like when I was a kid, we moved into an old 1800s house in the middle of nowhere in Ohio, and you know, I thought I saw a woman in white. You know, at the bottom of stairs, and that freaked me. I mean, I was just freaked out as a kid. I was like 10 o'clock. She was just white, white from head to toe. I don't know if it wasn't like the white lady. It was just kind of like a see-through projection, you know, of a lady. You know, it was at the top of the stairs, and I looked down, and this looking. I don't know what it was, but I freaked out, just scared as shit. Before then, when I was a kid, I was always scared. I would see shit that wasn't there. But then, I don't know if it was me or whatever, but crazy part about that is like I got into radio for a while, and I was in radio at a radio station in Dayton. It was Halloween, and there's this lady named Chris Woodyard. She wrote a bunch of books called Haunted Ohio. She has a bunch of different series called Haunted Ohio. And so we had her on the air because we wanted to do, like the Halloween, talk about stuff. And that in the building we were in at the time, it's still there in Dayton, is like 1800s, and it was a slaughterhouse. In the basement floor, it was like the trains would come in with all the cattle and everything, and they would just slaughter it. And it was like a meat processing plant. But then it was a 5-story building now, and it's like where all the radio stations are at. And I saw some weird shit in that building. I didn't want to see like the dark entities and shit walking by, and I didn't want to see any of that. Like just. But I just didn't.
Physical.
Yeah. I mean, it was just like I ran down the hallway chasing, because I was the only guy in the building at the time. To like from midnight to 4 a.m. I was at 5 a.m. I was the only dude in there. So I was like, oh shit, it was downtown Dayton. So I'm thinking somebody broke in. I'm looking out a window, like in a recording booth, and I see this guy walk by, and I'm like, fuck. So I run out the hallway. The dude just disappears. And I'm like, wow. And that was the only time I've ever had like sleep paralysis, sleep paralysis, where you just like, you're awake, but everything's going on around you, and you can't, like, I couldn't move. Like I'm just,
happened to me once.
I was just, that was the freakiest thing. I'm just like, I'm just trying everything in my soul to move, and I can't move, and just shit's happening. That freaked me out. So anyways, I met this chick, this Chris Woodyard chick came in, and I told her about this stuff, like off the air, I'm talking about her. And she's like, look, if you don't want to see it anymore, you don't have to. And I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, if you just make up your mind that you don't want to see it anymore, you just you just won't. I'm like, it's really that easy. She's like, yeah, if you just tell it to fuck, just go away, and you don't want to be bothered with it, it just goes away. And I'm like, no way. And like, literally I was just like, cool. Cause I don't want to keep doing this. And that was probably when I was like, I was probably 18, 19. And I was like, fuck, I don't want to see this anymore. And like, just shut it off. And it was like, I didn't, I didn't. I mean, from up into that point, probably forever I did. But then after that, I didn't. And now I think I'm probably in the past 10, 15 years, like getting back into it. The weird thing I found out that is real easy to turn it off, and it's not as easy to turn it back on. But I think it's everybody. I think you honestly have the ability to either believe what you see or you don't, Do
you want to turn it back on?
I don't know, man. Yeah, I do, but not at the detriment of anybody else, I mean, if it happens to me, cool, but I don't want it to like the hitchhikers and be screwing with my family at all, especially my wife. She would just fucking kill me.
Yeah. Dude, I really want to get into like the CU5 meditation, and like I'd even try DMT, honestly.
How did that go for you?
I'm afraid. No, like I would want to.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say,
but
yeah.
Because I read like the Spirit Molecule book and all that. Super interesting. But
it's a good documentary about that on Netflix too. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just afraid of that possibility that there's an entity out there that wants to take your mind.
Yeah.
I know that's like a stretch, but
no, yeah.
I haven't ruled it out yet.
No, I get you, man. I don't know if it's that. I'm more of the mind of like, well, now that you know that's real, what do you do with it? Are you tasked with doing something, or is it like now your responsibility to tell everybody or do a fucking YouTube channel and talk to guys like me? You know what I mean? Like, what does it mean for you? Is it another one of those things where you can just be like, cool, now I'm good and I'm done, or do you have to do something with it then?
No, no matter if it's good or bad, like, we have to talk about it. Like Lou Elizondo says, can't keep her head stuck in the sand or whatever.
Dude, totally.
Or buried in the sand.
No, yeah. No, I think that's it. I think that there's so much more than we can even comprehend, man.
Yeah.
That I think
I honestly, sorry.
No, go ahead. Go. No, go.
I feel like most people just like don't know what's going on. We all only have like these theories,
I think they don't want to, though.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, think about it. Like, my wife doesn't want to know. She just gets so pissed because I told her about, I talked about CE5 and I was talking about doing it. And she's like, don't fucking bring aliens. Don't bring them into me. Don't bring them here. She's like, they're going to fucking take me. They're gonna, like, I don't want them. You know what I mean? And I'm like,
yeah,
I get it. I get that there's so many people that would just be like, cool. If it's there, they can't mentally process it. Like they just, there's that barrier, whatever it is. They just don't care, you know? Or don't believe it. I mean, I've said this a couple of times that I've said it on Twitter. I've said it in different talks I've had and stuff, but like literally there's people that would like, and this is the example I use. A buddy of mine had COVID, didn't believe in COVID at all. Didn't believe in it. Got COVID, sick and shit. He gets better. He's like, yeah. Is it real? Yeah. Is it as bad as they say? No. I mean, whatever. It's just, a thing. And I'm like, that's your experience, dude. Like there's other people that die because of it. You know what I mean? Like and I go, this is the same kind of mindset that people have where an alien, a craft lands on your roof. A guy gets out. It was like, hey, I'm from Neptune. Nice to meet you. We're hanging out. This is all cool. I just wanted to say hi, meet whatever. Cool. Gets in and flies away. It's the same dude to be like, yeah, that didn't happen.
Yeah.
that wasn't real. That didn't happen. I just drank too much or whatever. Right. Like there's so many people that like literally, if they physically had an interaction with something, they'd be like, they would just completely push it out of their mind saying it didn't happen. So like, how do you change that perception? Yeah.
I don't know, but going back to like what you're saying about your wife, like if I mention how there's like upcoming news that we learn about from like UFO Twitter, I'll tell my girlfriend, I'm like, oh, like
something's coming up.
Big shit tomorrow, like it's happening.
Yeah.
And she'll be like, oh, that's what you say all the time.
That's exactly what my wife says. Everything's big news all the time.
I'm like, no, like it's getting bigger and bigger. And if I try to show her like a quote from like someone from TTSA or something, she'll be like, I don't know what that means. And she won't even try to read it. And my girlfriend's like super smart. Like she's like above 4.0 student, like in college. Like she's really smart, and she just like will not like even read this stuff. I don't know what it is.
Dude, there's some people that just don't want to believe it because I think it upends all of their belief system. Their whole entire way of thinking in their life has to change right then. And they don't know what to think then. How do they handle it? How they process that? They can't. You can't. And you can't tell somebody how to feel. You know what I mean? It's just the way they do. And I think that's probably why the slow drip of disclosure has been happening for 70 years. I think that at some point they were like, this is going to bust people's brains wide open and they're not going to be able to handle it. And maybe some of the shit, like DeLonge said it, maybe some of the shit's scary. Maybe some of the shit's not all roses and good stuff. Maybe there's some real negative, scary shit to this, that we really can't comprehend or combat or deal with at all. Like, and people would lose their shit even worse than at that point,
Hey, key words: gods, man, and war.
Yeah,
dude, I'm telling you, like
war's not out yet, is it?
No, not yet.
No, but yeah, I mean that's the thing that really stuck with me, man, during that whole series was that now is the first time we've had the ability to fight back.
Yeah, dude, it's weird.
I mean, I don't know if that was in the books or if that was in his some of his interviews, but like I know DeLonge has said that, man. Like for the first time in history, this is the first time we've been able to fight back.
Yeah, and on the I think it's the Fade to Black interview with Jimmy Church.
Yeah, the 16. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, he says now is the time for humanity to come together and put on our boxing gloves so we can zap the bugs out of the sky. Like what?
Yeah,
that's so off the wall.
It is.
But
it is, man. But like, no, I mean, he's talked about the bugs thing before, I mean, like because they look like bugs. Yeah, I think he said that. Like they look like bugs. But yeah, I mean, honestly, think about that. I mean, if you're in charge of keeping people safe and sane, you just come out like, yeah, there's a bunch of things that are trying to kill us and eat us, and we can't do anything about it. And have fun at the baseball game.
Yeah.
How do people can't process that shit, man? They can't. You slowly indoctrinate them probably after so many years. It probably gets easier, but I have reason to believe that Grant Cameron was probably right whenever he said, like, in 2016 something changed, like it went to turbo mode, like, something was happening or something was coming or whatever, that everything got greenlit and everything, it was just get boom, 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 get it out, get it out, get it out. So I don't know. I have a couple theories on what that is, but I mean, I could be way off too. Like,
what's your number one theory?
Oh, so there was a TTSA talks with Lou Elizondo in the fall or spring, in the summer or whatever, and I just asked a crap load of questions, and Lou answered like 6 of my questions.
I think I remember that.
I couldn't believe it. I was like, oh my God, like he answered like 6. I was like, wow, and like some of the stuff I was, and like I've been like getting into some of it, and I think he's dropping like Easter eggs, little hints. Dude, and stuff.
They all are.
Yeah. And like, you just got to kind of read between the lines totally, and like the one thing he said, I asked him, I said, okay, disclosure happens tomorrow. What happens to TTSA? Does the mission, does everything change? And he said, Mother Nature holds clues for us. We have to, take her guide, basically adapt and, move on. And I'm like, okay, cool. So I've always been into space weather, things like that. Space weather is an actual thing. I think I've shared some of that stuff with you.
Yeah, I don't know anything about that, but I've like briefly looked at that stuff and I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's some crazy stuff.
Yeah, definitely. There's like basically a cyclical thing that's been covered up from the CIA and academia all over the world, basically, that says that every 12,000, 13,000 years, there's a pretty much like a micronova that happens, and it happens like in a galactic scale where it shoots through the galaxy and kind of flips us on our axis. Like it switches our poles quick, and it's so quick that
that's what the pole shift is.
Pretty much, it's just a real quick pole shift where it flips us. But what it does, that when you get all your biblical flood stories and all your and all your different things, right? That's where you can go to like the permafrost in Siberia and find like mastodons with plants in their mouth because they're chewing food, but they're flat, they're frozen. And, you can look at all that stuff. And so you don't have that record of the poles being completely different places because they're only in separate, different places for a short period of time. And then they go back. But then it just basically screws the whole planet. And there's like a small percentage of people. The cat knows what I'm talking about.
Tinkerbell.
That's awesome. Yeah. Like, so it's like there's a group of people that live, but basically it just rocks you right back to the Stone Age, right? So it's like, you just think of that happen now. I mean, all the stuff we have is just gone, and you got to build back up. And that's kind of like the Atlantis theories and all that stuff, that those are real civilizations of people on the planet. This thing happens, and then some of them live, they go underground, do they go up, do they go out, do they, are they here? Like, and everybody else kind of just muddles through and makes it to be, where it is again. And, how do you protect against that and all this other stuff? So, I don't know. I kind of think that maybe that might be part of it, because from everything that I've been researching and following is that's kind of within the next 20 to 30 years, maybe, so and if you think about that in the grand scale, like what if there's a civilization or entity or whatever out there that is like offered to help us in surviving it or mitigating it or whatever, right? It's coming.
Yeah.
This is a cyclical thing, like the weather. You know what I mean? Like fall and winter. Like, and what if there's how do you explain that to everybody? Like, hey, this is going to happen, and it's going to wipe out most of everybody, but these people are going to help us with this. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to have to at some point come up with something.
Do you think that's why, or do you think that ties into why they're making all the underground bases?
Yeah, that's part of it, man. That's one of the theories, where the DUMBs, the deep underground military bases all over the world. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And why would, the Boring Company, right? From Elon Musk, why would he be boring giant tunnels underneath everything, right?
He wants people to think it's boring.
Like, yes. It's perfect, right? Hide it in plain sight, man.
Dude, maybe like these people know this is coming, and they're building these crafts, the reverse engineered ones, right? These UFOs, and they're trying to get off planet and just pretty much leave everyone who's not important behind, or who's not important in their eyes.
Yeah.
It could happen. That'd be nuts.
I thought about that too, man. Think about Elon Musk, you know, same thing. Like we got to get off the planet. We got to get off the planet. We got to get to Mars by 2026, right? That we say 20.
Do you want to hear what I think is like the biggest thing that's going on?
Of course,
like
I want to hear what you're talking about. Yeah.
All right, check this out. I've said this before a few times, I think, but like to the stars, Elon Musk, like all these people figured out that like we can't survive as a species like the way we are. And I think there's like a global push to transfer human biology, like especially consciousness, like into artificial intelligence so that we can go like literally to the stars, because humans travel without getting like biologically like messed up, you know?
Right.
Maybe we could like figure out how to prevent that in the future, but right now like there's nothing, right? Mm-hmm. And with all the talk about how these UFOs could be artificial intelligence machines, you know, it could be machines coming from like other planets, but it's people's AI, and that's what we've been reverse engineering, and like that's why artificial intelligence has been coming into the public slowly, and why our tech's been like ramping up like crazy the past like decades. And I think we figured out that like we need to do what the UFOs are doing, and like that's their overall message. But I don't know, that would be cool.
Yeah. No, man. I mean, there's survival instinct kicks in, man. There's a point where we're just like, we gotta make it, you know? And I think that's probably it. I mean, I think that's not a bad theory at all. I think that there's a lot of it, you know. I always have the theory ever since I saw that Project Arizonan is another great documentary. Project Arizonan was a thing that was like so classified up until like 10 years ago or something. But I can't remember if it was the 60s. It might have been the 60s. It had to have been the 60s or early 70s. The most advanced nuclear submarine on the planet basically sunk right off of the Pacific Ocean. And the US figured out where it was at. We figured out where it was at because we have like underwater listening devices all over the damn planet. We got basically microphones all over the ocean. So anything that happens, we kind of like triangulate, you know, where it's at. So we knew where it was at. We didn't want to tell anybody. So we hired the best ship making people in the world, the best, like, you know, people that could pull stuff off the bottom, all this shit. The CIA, the government was like, you're doing this top secret. You have to get it done right now. It's like a year, right? Usually take 10 years or whatever. They got it done in a year. The whole thing was they're going to get this ship out there and they're going to grab it from the bottom and pull it up and then take it back to San Francisco and then smuggle it into something and dissect it all and figure out how all this shit works, right? Without starting an international war, all this stuff, right? So they needed a cover story. So they went to Howard Hughes. You know, Howard Hughes is the eccentric billionaire. Like, he's crazy. Billionaire, does a bunch of stuff. They're like, hey, you're going to say that you're going to mine the seafloor for gold, and this is your expedition, and this is what you're going to do to make $1 billion. And he's like, cool. All right. So he was like, cool. He had nothing to do with it. He was just like, I'm putting up them all the money. I'm doing all this stuff, like did all the press conferences. This is what I'm going to do. Big thing about the ship going out, right? So the ship is all over international waters and doing shit. And like the Russians are circling them, the Japanese, like everybody's just trying to figure out what the hell they're doing. And they pick it up and they fuck it up. They broke it in half. And they got half of it and they took it back. Well, it wasn't until the Obama administration they admitted it and gave the Russians back the video of us dumping the Russian bodies back to sea and burial. So that was from like the 60s or 70s, like to like, you know what I mean? Like 10 years, not even 10 years ago, right? Like 5 years ago, whatever. So like that was like the big cover. Was Howard Hughes was this guy, this eccentric billionaire. He had all this shit that he like, this is what he was going to do. Use it as cover. And we got this Russian sub, back engineered all this stuff, right? The Russians had. So in my mind, I'm like, Elon Musk is Howard Hughes. Elon Musk is that dude right now. We got to get off the earth. We got to do this. We got to get this boring. We're boring this boring tunnel. We got electric cars. We got all this shit. You know, all this stuff is just like this. I mean, maybe I know I don't disregard that he's not a genius and he's, you know, he's smart and he's got his own shit. But I guess I guarantee you that the government's got their hands in his pockets going, yeah, we're going to get this. We're going to get the fuck out of here. We're going to have a base on the moon. We're going to have a base on Mars. You know, and you're going to front it, you know, and say that, because if we came out and do it, everybody's gonna be like, what are you doing? Right. But if it's just Elon Musk, the billionaire guy, just doing what he wants, just like Howard Hughes.
Do you think like the current SpaceX tech that's public at least is like all for show then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
It would have to be.
Totally. Yeah.
I think it's not a coincidence. Well, I wouldn't even say that. That doesn't make sense. But like he named his company Tesla for a reason, you know?
Yeah, dude.
Like, come on. Like he knows some shit.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing.
You got to know all the crazy Tesla stuff.
And Bezos too, man. I mean, Bezos is like the underground Dr. Evil. I mean, like he's got contracts with the government. Blue Origin's doing the same shit that SpaceX is doing, but SpaceX is just about the one like going, hey, look at us, hey, you know, and Bezos is in the bag launching his own shit too. They got like the New Shepard and all, like same kind of rockets, same reusable. They've been doing shit. They got government contracts up the ass that they're launching satellites for. Virgin, I don't know. I don't know. I think at a certain point, whoever the global powers are basically is like, yeah, you're working for us or you're not. You know, I mean, no matter how much money you have or whatever, I think there's definitely an agenda.
Crazy stuff.
Yeah, it is. But the best thing about UFO Twitter is I get to meet dudes like you.
Yeah, you're pretty cool, man.
No, you're a cool dude, man. I appreciate you. Cheers to you. Thanks for coming on and talking to me about the weirdest shit ever, man.
I got more stories too in the future. So.
Dude, but I mean, let's just not end it at all. Let's just keep talking about weird shit forever. Yeah, man. I don't know. I'm like the thing I'm waiting for like the next TTSA drop. I think Lou was talking to George Knapp tonight on Coast to Coast. So
that's time?
Yeah, I think that's tonight. So I think that might be something, you know.
Yeah, that was weird how he randomly posted that video after so long. Him driving to his family's house. Yeah. He's like, oh, what's up, UFO Twitter? Like, and they've been so silent, you know?
Yeah. You definitely know that they got something going on, you know? And one of my theories is that like, there's connections that are not public that are still going on. Like, I'm pretty sure Jeremy Corbell is probably hooked up with TTSA. Like,
oh, for sure.
There's a bunch of other stuff.
I have some speculations about some few people we interact with.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to like say any names, but
no.
I don't know. Maybe it's just my mind, but
no, totally, dude. I mean, you're talking about people like on UFO Twitter that just being disinfo or being government or both.
Well, not even disinfo, but are like directly talking to TTSA, and like TTSA is almost like
feeding
encouraging them or like telling them what to do. Or what to say at certain times. I'm not sure of that.
No. Yeah, there's definitely people that have stories and interviews before people else, and you know, have different connections. You know, but maybe we can have them too if we just reached out. I mean, that's another thing. I mean, fuck it, it's worth a shot. Like I say, is no. You know.
Yeah, look at Tom DeLonge, guy from Blink-182. Like, dude, all these top intel people hanging out with him.
He rolled the dice. I swear that guy just rolled the dice and he made it happen. Maybe
it's some Freemason stuff though. Or nah.
No, I think so, man. I do.
Really?
I don't have a way to prove it at all. There's no way for me to prove it at all. But no, I mean, that was seriously, you know, Tom's a Freemason. He said it in an interview, kind of. He's like, yeah, probably. Really? I think he said, yeah, probably. There's a Knapp interview with him. He's like, yeah, probably. Yeah. He talked about it because of the icon, you know, the all the stuff from Angels and Airwaves, and dude, he's got square and compasses on his guitars, and those videos he's got them on his jackets, and yeah, you're not pretending to be a Freemason and not being one, you know. So
yeah, everyone's always asking about it too, like, oh, like open up on it, like what's it about?
Yeah, and he never says shit. He won't say anything, but that's part of the whole thing, man. He just wants to be more of a mystery, you know. He said that in the interview too with Knapp. But watching the first season of Unidentified, you know, I was watching it with actually like 3 or 4 buddies of mine that are Freemasons. Were just hanging out here watching it, and like some of the interactions that Lou had with Fravor and some of the other people, like there's different greetings that we have as Masons that we do, like that wouldn't be obvious to other people. That, you know, basically the way you greet people. And I was like, oh, and then I'm not the best at hearing at all anymore. I think like just loud music and shit, my hearing is shit anymore. Right. So I always watch everything with subtitles on just because I can pick stuff. You know, I can't hear. Yeah. Okay. I mean, if you're not hurting it, it's a good idea. But anyway, some of the stuff he said was, you know, calling guys brother and stuff, and the way they were greeting each other. I was like, light bulb went off. I'm like, Funny story, and this would be a great way to put this all in context, was a buddy of mine's a Mason, Freemason, you're here, and they'd take an annual trip to Canada. So, and Freemasons from all walk of life, all ages, like you're 26, I'm 41, whatever, right? There's guys that are 80. There's guys that are like lawyers. There's guys that are janitors. There's guys that are like judges. There's all walks of life, all races, whatever, right? But we all get together and we're Freemasons. We hang out. Cool. Everybody's cool with each other. We're all on the level, right? So these guys go every year. A bunch of guys here from Ohio, they go to Canada to meet the other. There's a bunch of there's a lodge in Canada. Other brothers up there that we go up there and hang out. It's like a thing, you know, once a year they go up, you know, they go up here pre-COVID, obviously they go and we hang out. So, anyways, we got these guys in a car in Ohio, and there's like a financial advisor, a retired doctor, like I said, like maybe a janitor, and like, you know, I don't know, baseball player or whatever, right? Just makes it like this is the most disparate thing you can think of. They get to the border and they're like, give me your IDs, and like, all right, what do you do? What do you do? Like, all right, get out of the car. And they're just like, there's no way you guys should know each other. There's no way, guys, you should be hanging out. None of you guys are like the same age, you know, like, like what the hell are you guys doing? You know, like think if something's up, right? The Mounties think there's something going on, right? Like it's like a terrorist thing or, you know, some drug thing or whatever. And they're like, no, we're Freemasons. We're going to, you know, meet our other lodge or whatever. So like anyway, they ended up calling a guy that was a Mason who was like a Mountie, you know, who ended up having to call in and was like, yeah, no, they're cool. This is what's going on. They're like, oh, okay. And they just let them in. But so you think about that context, right? So there's a bunch of dudes like my age, your age, like whatever, across the board that shouldn't be hanging out at all, right? Look at TTSA. You got Tom, a guy like us, tattooed guy, whatever, young dude, right? You got former military guys. You got Chris Mellon, who's like, you know, you got Hell Put Off. You got all these guys. Like, what the hell would bring them all together?
Yeah.
So
it's funny too, because when they first like all came out and introduced themselves, and they were talking about how like their relationship with like Tom DeLonge formed, and they were all like talking about like, I think it was Chris Mellon was like, oh, like I didn't know anything about punk rock until it, like, I don't know, it's pretty weird. Yeah, I like it. I think it's funny to imagine like the TTS science guys like listening to Angels and Airwaves or something. I wonder if
they're just jamming out like.
Yeah, man, I wish I could get into them. I've never liked Tom DeLonge's like vocal style. I don't know what it is. Just me. But he's a good musician.
Yeah.
Not.
Everything's not for everybody, you know.
Yeah. Do you like Angels and Airwaves?
Yeah, I mean it's grown on me, especially since I started digging a little bit deeper into some of the stuff that I think he's doing. I don't have a way to prove it, but I think
there's like stuff in the lyrics, right?
Not even the lyrics, just more like the music.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think there's probably some stuff either in the music or behind it.
I think the last tour they did, in between songs or like before they started playing, there was like this weird transmission that they played, and it was supposed to have something to do with frequencies.
Yeah, no, I went and saw him on that 19. It was 2019. I saw him in Detroit, and there's it's out there. Somebody has it recorded, and basically it was saying they played it like in a break between songs, and it was like saying that it's been like scientifically proven that everybody like at a concert is all their brain waves all kind of like sync at the same frequency. Yeah, because everybody's kind of experiencing the same thing, and they kind of all experience it on the same frequency, and that, you know, that's what's kind of going on right then. And just kind of told everybody, it's like a chick, we'll play it here if I can find it, I'll dub it in and put it in. But yeah, and it's kind of just like cool to let everybody know that, you know, there's just way more shit going on around us all day long than we have any idea about.
Yeah.
And it's cool that they can bring it out and do that. I think that's cool that he's done it and he's dedicated his life. And I mean, everybody's really pissed when he split with Blink, you know. But at a certain point, I mean, you got to do what you got to do. You got to do what you love, and you know.
Dude, I would hate playing the same songs every night. It sounds horrible. I'd hate being a touring musician. Dude, that's just me. But yeah, imagine playing the same songs that you wrote as a teenager for like 20, 30 years.
Right?
I don't know.
No, I get it. Yeah, that would suck.
it's weird watching Blink 182 now. Mark Hoppis, just like pretty old.